Welcome to Grateful Connections, What Gratitude Built, the podcast where women in business share the lessons, strategies, and gratitude behind their growth. Here's your host, Malinda, leading inspiring conversations that fuel your growth, spark gratitude, and remind you that you're not building your business alone.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm so excited to have my first podcast ever. So, of course, the first person I have to bring it to everyone's attention is my amazing business coach who helped me really fine tune what I was going to work on, how I was going to make Grateful Connections into this amazing thing. And so I'm super excited to introduce Kristin Crockett. She has a company called Courageous Destiny, and I'm super excited for her to tell you more about what that is, what she believes in, and how she can help all of her clients come to create their courageous destiny. So, Kristin, nice to see you. Thanks for joining me here.
Oh my gosh, it's nice to be here.
Woohoo! So tell me about your launch into Courageous Destiny. Like, what's the backstory? How did you become this coach? And really, what does Courageous Destiny mean to you?
So to me, I'll start with what Courageous Destiny means to me. And then I'll go and I'll backtrack in the story. So
Nice.
Courageous Destiny to me, simply put, is everything you want in your business and in your life, specifically that you want. And that's a lot of my story too. So my story for Courageous Destiny starts about 12 years ago when I was working in corporate America and raising 5-year-old triplets. So it was really difficult being that mom and being able to juggle everything, and then also being in corporate and being a sales leader. So I was in the top 1% of salespeople, very successful in sales. But after I had my kids, I started to take a bit of a downward spiral. And instead of thinking I had anything to do with it, I complained a lot. And then one day I complained to the right person.
Yeah.
And in complaining to her, she told me about her brother who was a coach, and I should have a conversation with him if I felt like that made sense to me. And I'm like, at first I was like, who does she think she is? Why would I need a coach? What's a coach? You mean like a basketball coach? I didn't even know about life coaching and business coaching back then.
Yeah.
And eventually that stuck with me, and I started seeing life coaching around in the world, like my reticular activator system would tune it in.
Yeah.
And eventually I did reach out and I did have a conversation with him, and I decided to hire my first coach. And in the first 3 months of working with him, I had tripled my sales. I had lost my first 30 pounds. It was incredible. Amazing. And I'm like, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. And that's really when Courageous Destiny started.
That's awesome. When did you think about because I know, of course, how you've coached me, right? With where you're at right now versus where you want to be and what's in the middle, the gap, like how do we get from point A to point B? But what made you realize that this journey is so much more about mindset versus just like business strategy and planning?
In working with my coach, he had taught me, he was the first person I had heard from where he had taught me that 95% of the way that we think isn't conscious to us, which means that we all get 5% consciousness in order to direct that and create our lives. He might have said it to me a little bit differently, but the message still sticks today.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah. And when I started working with him, I started realizing that all the things that created some of the results that I wanted in life, quite simply, sucked doing.
Right.
I didn't want to wake up at 4 a.m. to exercise when that would be the time I had with the triplets in order to get my body healthy. I didn't want to eat healthy foods. I didn't want to try and transition my career, even though I was no longer happy doing that role. All of the actions were really, really difficult. And so my perspective was one of being a victim. And once I saw that, and
wait, this isn't me. I got to figure something else out, right?
Yeah, I started seeing all this different context that I would apply to things. And none of it led me forward toward what I really wanted in life. And what I really wanted, honestly, at that time, I wanted to be happy. I wanted to be free. I wanted to be able to take my kids to a doctor's appointment without feeling guilty or feeling like I could be let go or put on a performance improvement program because that didn't match somebody else's idea of what I should be doing that day.
Right.
I get it in corporate, but at the same time, there was nothing that I could do, with my kids to avoid some of those timeouts for
Sure.
myself. So, but I stopped being a victim in my life and I started to go, well, how could things be differently? How could things be different? And I started to learn to create new contexts that opened me up to actions that I wouldn't have otherwise taken. And then pretty soon that started happening all over my life. And it was pretty natural and intuitive. It wasn't like a problem anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, it isn't the easiest thing to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. But if I do,
Nope.
and I create a regular habit of it, it's not going to be so bad. And gosh, what could I get from doing that? And so I learned how to meditate and I learned how to create a really powerful morning. And I learned all these things. I felt like I was on top of the world, even though I was waking up early.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Doing things that I never thought I could do before.
That's awesome. So I know, you are focused on coaching us. And every time I've seen you publicly speak, you're really talking about creating the life and business that you love. So
Yes.
What is that for you personally? What is your courageous destiny?
My courageous destiny is to help a lot of people live their courageous destiny. And I want to
awesome.
I want to do that in the millions.
Right.
I think it would be great to, I don't know what that looks like yet, but one step at a time. Certainly my podcast is a step into that. I'm creating membership in Courageous Destiny, various different types of group coaching and different products and services that'll be available to people to help inspire them to do so. So that's my Courageous Destiny.
For sure.
While I'm able to spend some really cool time with my kids and
they're getting ready to go on to the next chapter soon. So right now it definitely is enjoying the family time and prioritizing spending time with them as well. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Bringing it all together.
That's perfect. So you and I are both, obviously with the business name, and my passion for gratitude really kind of stemmed a lot from the things that we had talked about. Where would you say that the gratitude has shaped your business journey? Like, where has it affected you the most and made you the most success or made you the proudest or happiest in your journey?
There has been times where I've wanted to quit. There has been times where really, I'll never forget having an offer for a 6-figure income at corporate after being out of corporate for a year, trying to make it as a coach and turning that down.
Yeah.
Gratitude has been an essential piece because I'm like, do I really want to go back to that world? Like, it seriously made me feel so awful. Not that corporate is bad. It's just that it was no longer for me. And it was really hard to think about, but I certainly have gone through some ups and some downs and some all arounds. And gratitude has been that piece that I'm like, thank God that I'm going through some of these things because I'm going to be coaching people to do it.
Right.
And I want to come from a place of authenticity. I don't want to come from a place of, it'd be a really great idea for you to release your 9 to 5. It'd be a really good idea to make a big, huge leap and then not have any idea how to coach them through it.
Sure.
So every step of the way that I would go through things personally, I'm like, okay, well, I need this for my next chapter. So thank goodness. And every time that would happen, I would attract a client or a company or somebody to work with that needed that knowledge.
Yeah, that's
true.
And
I just started to see it. I'm like, oh, thank God for the journey. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
That's
for all
amazing.
my connections.
And with gratitude, it's not just a feel-good thing, right? It is. It really positions you to be in a better place and gives you a place to reground and reset. But it's also a business tool. And since we are talking to women, the audience here is for women in business. So how would you physically take the act of gratitude or the tool of gratitude and use it in your business? If you were to coach me on that, how would you tell me to move forward with?
Well, I would say that people buy from people that they like. and they know, like, and trust people that make them feel good.
Yeah.
So infusing gratitude any way that you can in your business is really essential. Thank you notes. When you're going, let people know how honored you are to be spending their time with them, which is their most precious, valuable resource.
Right.
Like, to really take into consideration, like, if it wasn't for this connection right here, right now, that could be the thing that changes everything. So thank you.
Right.
And really honoring your own time and honoring that of the people that you're working with.
That's
So by
awesome.
infusing it, you feel good. By infusing it, they feel good.
And then there's a
And
connection.
then, yeah. And
A
that's
grateful connection.
And it snowballs to your next call, that feeling.
Right. Absolutely. I agree. So when somebody is in their business and they're feeling overwhelmed and stressed, what are some tools or gratitude practice ideas that could kind of get you back to the grounding stage or back to getting off the cliff of being frustrated? What is maybe some tools that you would suggest?
The first step is to pause. We've got 95% going on that is really causing things like overwhelm and fear and the ways to feel that we don't want to feel.
Right.
Sometimes it's really important to honor our emotions and address what causes them. So I'm not saying cover them up and live in some kind of fairy tale world. But when you know that you can shift that state that you're in as soon as you're ready to, that's really important. Like, if I'm in overwhelm, the only way out of overwhelm is action. Overwhelm is drama. It's a drama llama coming to get you. It doesn't really comprise of anything tangible.
Right.
Other than, I don't know if I can do all this, if I'm going to get this done and this done and this done and this one, and it's like this drama llama, but it's not going to help move you forward. But what will help move you forward is, okay, well, what's the next action? What's the next right action for me to take that drives me forward toward what I want?
Yeah.
And even starting with something big is a way out of that. Or I'm sorry, starting with something small. Start with the biggest thing. No,
Yeah.
Yeah. And that'll give you momentum. It's like, okay, the next thing. And then also, when you practice the pause, knowing that you've gone through so much worse than whatever it is that's overwhelming you in that moment.
Absolutely.
Like, you've gotten through tougher things in your life if you look back.
Right.
And to give yourself the confidence that you can handle whatever comes at you in life.
Absolutely.
You can.
Well, I know that since you and I have worked together, there definitely have been a couple of tools that you've recommended to me, a couple of books, ideas. Can you reference some of those here to our listeners and share with them some really great tools like books or journals or ideas that you might have to really practice the state of gratitude?
Absolutely. So some of my favorite books, and I am writing my own Courageous Destiny Gratitude Challenge now. I'm like, I think it has to come into the world now. But two of the books that I would recommend for gratitude and practicing gratitude. And I'm telling you that every time my clients open up either one of these books, something amazing happens, because gratitude causes amazing things to happen that you wouldn't expect. One of them is The Magic by Rhonda Burns.
Okay.
So sometimes people get a little tossed with that title, The Magic, but it really is all about gratitude. It's not about anything mystical. There's no sacrifices or any kind of weird thing happening, but it is all about a gratitude practice. And it's a 28-day practice in gratitude. And they'll give you different exercises to do. Because a lot of people are like, well, I'm grateful. And I'm like, but how do I create habits of extra gratitude? How do I infuse even more of it into my life? So that's one book. And then the other book that I would recommend is Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, yeah.
So there's, of course, the Napoleon Hill Think and Grow Rich, which is also a great book. But Think and Grow Rich is very different. It's by Pam Grout. And she also gives you 28 days of different things to intend on in order to bring more gratitude into your life.
I love that, because I've always heard gratitude journal this, gratitude journal that, write what you're grateful for. And for the longest time, I couldn't understand what the why is behind it.
Right.
Right. Or, what is what does that mean? I mean, yeah, I can sit here and think about all the things I'm grateful for, but why am I actually writing it down? Why am I focusing on this? And so understanding the why and what gratitude brings to you really does give that purpose, as to taking the pause, thinking it through, feeling the things that you're grateful for. And as you know, as Kristen and I just got onto this call, I had just gotten off the call with a colleague of mine who has been given 6 months to live with an extreme cancer that she was diagnosed with, and discovered it on her own through an ultrasound process. And just listening to her on the other side, she was blowing me away. Just their positivity and her excitement, and they're bucket listing some things. They're going to go on a cruise into Europe,
Yay.
and she is literally the epitome of what living in gratitude is right now. And I know we all think about life is too short, all those things, right? It can happen at any time, and people we love are, passing all the time. But that listening to her, just you could hear the excitement in her voice about being able to still be healthy enough and feel good enough that she knows that she has this time limit and she's not going to waste time enjoying it. And that to me was quite the epitome of understanding and feeling what gratitude is. And I will learn a lot just from those, couple minutes in that conversation with her. What do you think?
And it's interesting because one of the things I remember this very early on in my coaching, I went to a seminar, which was really amazing. And it's where I declared becoming a coach. And one of the exercises was, if you had a week to live, what would you be doing differently? And what would be really important to you? And that exercise really put things into perspective. I'm like, well, I wouldn't be worried about my dishes too much. And I wouldn't be worried
Right.
about, and I starting to unpack that. And I'm like, well, what if every day was like that? What if I put an element in every day like that?
Right.
It'd be way different. And that's actually also a really big part of Courageous Destiny. It's like, what could I intentionally create something amazing in my life every day, a little bit every day?
Well, the intention is so key, because otherwise you're living your whole life in autopilot, right? And so when I think back to the first 20 years that I was married in a very unloving, not supportive marriage, it was definitely just a state of existing and plugging through and just being on autopilot. And I had no idea how miserable I really was. But now when you take that intention to really think about your life and what you're grateful for and what you want to accomplish and how you want to do it, you don't have to wait until, it is handed to you, right? You have to be intentional about how to make your life better. And for me, it was definitely taking that leap of faith to know that my life is going to be better on the other side. But yeah, I totally agree with that. When you are working with, I know you don't only focus on coaching women, but primarily you do work with women. What are some of the mindset roadblocks that you see in women entrepreneurs, and how can gratitude kind of break some of those challenges?
Overwhelm is a big one.
Yeah.
Some people won't start their life because they're overwhelmed. I'm
Right.
too overwhelmed. There's too much going on. But if you really take on that, I always say, I like to take on that I'm the master creator of my own courageous destiny. It inspires
Absolutely.
me, right?
Right.
So I'm the creator in my world. But if I'm the creator in my world, why do I want to create overwhelm? What am I bringing on that's making me feel that way? What do I need to let go of? And I think that we get this idea that we have all these have tos and all these responsibilities, but so many times we're taking on an over responsibility, not letting people handle what they need to handle.
Right.
We're training them in our lives that we're going to handle everything. We're going to handle the mom. We're going to handle all the things, right? And we
Yep.
don't have to do that.
That's a really good point. I think as women, that's automatic for us. So trying to be intentional about that. And, and I've always said to my daughter when I'm thinking about, I've wanted to be an entrepreneur my whole adult life. And the one thing that was holding me back was it's just easier to keep my fantasy in fantasy land. Like it's easier just to leave it there, because then I can't fail and I can't disrupt my life. And I just get to go through with the life that I know. And so to me, bringing the fantasy of what I really want to accomplish into reality, as scary as it is the only way to be able to create that life that you want. And to me, it is grabbing the fantasy, turning it to reality, and just being around for the bumpy ride. And whether or not I'm overwhelmed or whether or not I hit roadblocks of self-doubt and imposter syndrome and all those things, I just know that, like you said, to me, the fact that I'm in control, I have to just reframe my vision the way I feel to know that, well, if I fail, okay, so what? Nothing terrible is going to happen. And I'm just going to learn from that experience. And, we all know that if you're not stepping out of your comfort zone, you're not growing, right? So even in those
Well,
overwhelmed stages, it's really important to bring it down to the ground level and just kind of look at like, okay, overwhelm is what we all have to do, but we can sit back, maybe do a 10-minute gratitude meditation and get regrounded and back to like, okay, I really love where I'm at in my life because of these many things.
Well, and there's a few things that we can do that we don't think we can do sometimes. Number one, we can rearrange or we can make a new promise, so if we can't honor it because we've taken too many things on, we could say, hey, look, and we could just own it. Here's a situation. This is what my new promise is, and this is what we're going to do moving forward. So we can adjust. We don't often give ourselves the freedom for that.
Right. You get stuck in saying, well, poor me, or I can't do that, or I failed and I suck. And how do I move forward? But you're absolutely right.
And
we're the ones that have to reform it. Right. Stop that.
We can say no. Like
right.
we can, there's certain things that we can assess and go, is this, like I always say, is this moving me forward toward my courageous destiny? Or is it moving me away from it? And if it's moving me away from it, then I don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
That doesn't make sense. Even if it impacts other people, it's better to live in your truth and let the chips fall where they may.
Yep.
Making yourself important is a big, big part of the mindset. Like you asked me about the mindset, making yourself important and making your courageous destiny important, which if you're anything like my clients, that usually includes kids and family and all the things.
Would you say that with the reset from overwhelm, would you say that's one of the biggest mind shift impacts that have helped your business? Or do you have any other thoughts about what other mindset shifts or changes has really gotten you to this place?
I would say, there's so many, but another one is fear. Courageous destiny is a lot about overcoming fear. And I think one of my biggest mindset shifts was I'm going to be afraid and I'm going to do it anyway.
Right.
I was terrified the first time I spoke in front of people. I've spoken in front of people and going, I'm going to wing it and see what comes out because I need to go through this process to figure out exactly what's in my heart, so
that's great.
Really to get over fear, to know it's going to be there, but it can be like a quarter and you put it in your pocket. It doesn't have to stop you. You can retrain your mind to have it mean go and to give up perfectionism.
Yeah, that's a big one too, right? I'm trying to live my life with the done is better than perfect mentality, right? Because if we're only procrastinating for perfection, then we just can't move forward and you're not able to get to that next step. So you have to just be willing to put yourself out there and do the fail. And if it happens, you learn from it, right? This is a scary place for me because I've been successful in corporate America. I've had great jobs. I've done well. And, taking this big leap to start something completely new. Yeah. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Well, and I think too, what you did in corporate America to not in your mind, not compare it necessarily to what it means to be an entrepreneur. They're different worlds and certain things in corporate. There's some really nice things like paychecks and
insurance,
like benefits. And,
those are great.
Things that you get here that you don't get over here in the entrepreneurial world. But then we have some other currencies in the entrepreneurial world, like time management. You're in control of your time. You have more freedom, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that to be able to research other entrepreneurs, and if you don't naturally have that mindset to see, am I thinking that way? I remember giving you that assignment, like, I want you to research other entrepreneurs set.
Right.
Like, I'll give
what
that
would
to
you
everybody.
say on that? So what would you say is in that definition? Like, what do you think, since you've worked with so many business owners, and with me, it's just been, I've always wanted to work for myself because being in sales, I've been constantly making a lot of money for big corporations. And I'm like, well, I would rather have, the opportunity to sell and use my true talents and my personality and like connect with the people I want to connect with to make the money for myself. But what other mindsets define an entrepreneur in your mind?
So I think willingness to adapt is a big part of the entrepreneurial mindset. So, a lot of times if we got really attached to what our action would bring in results, that would be really hard as an entrepreneur because we're always working in the unknown.
Right.
We're creators, so I think that's probably the biggest part of an entrepreneurial mindset.
Absolutely.
Is to create and whatever foundation is given to you on that day.
Right.
Like, okay, I'm building this house today. I was going to build that house today, but this other house needs to be built first. So we're going to build this house today,
I love it.
You need to be able to shift and be agile.
Yep.
And learn how to be comfortable in the unknown.
Yeah, that's not for the
comfortable in the unknown.
Yeah, I think that's a big one because not everybody can get to that place, right? They think of like the safety. I mean, I just had a conversation with somebody who's like, why would anybody want to be a 1099? And I was like, well, because you get freedom and you get to do your own thing and you own your own business. And to me, it made sense. But to this person, it was like, yeah, that is not the safe place, right? So
well,
I do
and
think
if you ever really want to get to the upper echelon, 7 figures and beyond, right, of financial gain,
it's kind of hard to do that in a corporation.
Your own business owner and to be able to dictate what you get paid.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a big one for me. So we are about to wrap up. I have a couple of questions for you, though, to kind of finish this up. When you think about the investment that you put into your business, whether it's time, money, energy, what would you say is the best use of an investment in your business?
I mean, for me, it was hiring a coach. It really did shrink the amount of time that it took for me to, I had a mentor for 8 years, and that was incredibly valuable to me.
That's great.
Because it helped me to really save a lot of time and to be able to be really great foundationally as a coach. It always had me really feel like I was walking the talk.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the coaches are obviously, I loved having you as a coach and always enjoy everything that you do to help and lead me. And I would agree that an investment in coaching is incredible because it gives you another perspective, really helps you keep accountable for the tasks that are at hand. And, in my case, I just love having someone to bounce ideas off of. What do you think about this? Right. And I think it's a really great investment in the time too. So I totally agree with that. Okay, one last question. If you could wave a magic wand and create one thing for women in business, what would it be?
Grace.
I love that.
I would give everybody grace to not have to be so perfect and to be able to make some mistakes along the way and not feel like you have to be so perfect all the time with your motherhood, with your business, with everything.
I think that's incredible. That's true. We all put way too much pressure on yourself or you're afraid and you hold back. So I think that is amazing for Grace. That's a great one. Okay. So tell us more about where people find you. Like where are you online? How do they get a hold of you? Your website, all that fun stuff.
So I have a link tree right now.
Well, I'll put it in I can put that in the link. So that's good.
I have a link tree is a really great way that has all of my socials, that has all the links where you can find me, where you can find my podcast, Courageous Destiny, Build a Business and Life You Love, which is also anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Amazing.
And, Facebook, I'm very active on Facebook and have the Courageous Destiny movement that I'm growing, which is, it's a free group that anybody can be a part of.
Amazing.
And I post in there often, offering insights and different mindset techniques.
Okay. Love it. And you do both one-on-one and group coaching, right? How do people get in touch in regards to any group coaching or individual coaching? Email you or?
Yeah, you can email me at Kristin@courageousdestiny.com. That's Kristin, not Ian, at courageousdestiny.com. And really just, reaching out even in PM or any of the socials is fine too.
Awesome.
I'm always an open book. I'm very passionate about what I do and I'm very
talented. Very talented at what you do. So I appreciate you. Thanks for this awesome conversation. And we will see you in another episode here soon. So thank you, Kristin.
Thank you, Malinda.
All right. Bye.
Bye for now.
If you enjoyed this episode, I would love for you to subscribe so you never miss a conversation. You can find me at gratefulconnections.com, join our private Facebook group, Grateful Connections, and follow me on Instagram at gratefulconnections_co. Sharing is an act of gratitude, so please pass this along to another woman in business who inspires you.
We're so grateful you joined us on What Gratitude Built. We grow stronger when we grow together. So stay connected, stay inspired, and let gratitude lead the way in your business and your life.